I'm Jessica, I'm an alcoholic. It's intense. All right. I guess I'm going to try to tell you my story in a general way, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. My sobriety date is May 22nd, 2013. Yeah, that was last year. Sorry. I can never remember anything when I'm up here. I have a home group. This is my home group. We meet on Tuesday nights and Saturday nights. This is a Saturday night meeting, open speaker meeting. The Tuesday meeting's a closed discussion. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor and a sponsor. And I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I was born in Charlotte, and we were like a middle class home, I guess. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts. I'm the oldest of three. Well, four. I have a half sister. My dad always worked away from home. He was kind of, well, he wasn't kind of. He was a construction worker. So he had an apartment at the beach, and he always was away. So it was kind of just me and my mom and brother and sister all the time. Hold on, I need to regroup. There's a lot of people looking at me right now. I can't remember anything. Okay. Gotta get together.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning. Now I forget what happened after that. So my dad was never there. I always kind of wished that he was there. When I was little, I always, well, my whole life, I've always needed to have like numerous things going on at once. If I was watching TV, the radio needed to be on, or if I was coloring, the TV needed to be on, and this and that. I kind of always have been kind of chaotic. Like I thrive in the chaos a little bit. When things are kind of boring, that's just kind of, it makes me uncomfortable. So I remember my mom worked from home, and I couldn't wait to go to school. Like we lived against, our backyard had a fence in it, and it backed up, and there was a playground from an elementary school back there, and I remember sitting against that fence all the time, and I just wanted to be out there with the other kids because I couldn't stand like my little brother and sister. They just got on my nerves because they took attention away from me. So I would always want to be over there, and then the kids would come up to the fence, and I'd get scared, and I'd run away. Like I just didn't want to deal with it. Everything always kind of bothered me about everything. Like if I got something, I wasn't happy with it. I wanted what I had before. I went to school, and when I was 5, I went to school when I was 4. I was really young when I went to school because my birthday's late in the year. So that made me feel different always. When I was 5, my parents got a divorce, and I remember my dad always drank. He actually just referred to himself as an alcoholic like 2 weeks ago for the first time. My grandfather drank all the time but never called himself an alcoholic. But the effects of it were clear in his life and everyone that surrounds their lives. So like my dad would come home and he would be drinking, and I could feel the tension in the house, but we never saw it. We'd hear him arguing a little bit. One time we all remember my dad throwing a spoon across the kitchen, and it didn't hit anyone, but we all remember that spoon because it was like the most traumatic thing that we had seen when we were little. But apparently there were more traumatic things, because I remember getting taken out of the house with my mom, my brother, and my sister, and they took us to a women's house for battered women and children. But I still to this day really don't know what happened. And I remember being so embarrassed because the school bus would come pick us up from there, and I didn't know if they knew why I was there, but I knew why I was there. And there was another girl too, but I was just mortified. And I would always sneak downstairs and try to call my dad because I just wanted him there, like I'm a daddy's girl. And he was never there because he was always working. So we moved to Ohio, to Akron, Ohio, with my grandparents. We lived with my mom's dad first for a couple months, and then her mom for a couple months until she could get a house. So I went to 3 different schools in first grade, and I was a year younger. I was only 5, so I just felt like I didn't fit in anywhere at all. Like everyone knew things I didn't know. Like it kind of feels like there was like a Pinterest for life, that like everyone knew all these shortcuts and tricks and cool things, and I was just like, I'm here and I don't know anything. Like, so I just always felt uncomfortable, and I was always aggravated. I just wanted to be somewhere else. If I was somewhere, I felt like I was missing something, or cooler things were happening. I remember crying myself to sleep when I was little because I'd never be 3 again. And I was like 5, and I was like, I just want to be 3, and I would cry, and it was just ridiculous. Like, but I always had trouble sleeping too. I really, looking back on it, I think that I stressed myself out a lot, because I always remember going to the doctor for stomach aches and chest pain and things like that when I'm in 4th grade. And now, looking back on it, they could never find anything wrong with me. I think it was stress, but it was there. It hurt. Like, I needed to go. But I just stressed myself out so much my whole life over things. So my mom got remarried to a man that I could not stand the second I met him, and couldn't stand him until he left. He was just really, in my opinion, my perception, very narcissistic. He always kind of made us feel like we were baggage. Like, he just had that creepy air about him too. Like, he would just be like, you can talk to us, you can talk to me, and we never wanted to. Like, we didn't like him. I always felt like there was ulterior motives with him. Like, he just always made me uncomfortable, and he wasn't my dad, so I couldn't stand him. Through school, I always got good grades. Other kids aggravated me. Apparently, I was that kid that bit people when I was little too, because they just made me mad. I've always been able to understand things in school, things that I thought were common sense to everyone that apparently aren't common sense to people. Like, things just made sense to me before the teacher was done explaining it. I kind of already had an idea where they were going with it. In most things, obviously not like really hard things, but in high school and grade school, things were always really easy for me. I never had to apply myself for anything. If I wanted to go play soccer, I could run forever, and I figured it out, so I was good at it. Things were easy. I never did things that were hard. So as I grew up, school was kind of my thing. I never really did anything bad. My mom always said that it was my mouth that would always get me in trouble. Like, I would never do anything wrong, really. It was always my mouth. Like, I was the first one to yell at you and cuss you out and just be a brat and say really hateful things to my mom and my brothers and sisters. I made fun of my sister her whole life I used to call her fat all the time. She's normal size. Like, she's not like my size. Like, I was like a beanpole. I still kind of am, but I was like way skinnier than this my whole life. And I was mean. I took my anger out on other people. I tormented people. I bullied people, like, with my words, not my strength, because I don't have very much. But I was just angry. My mom gave me a keychain when I was little. I collected keychains, and she gave me one with a serenity prayer on it when I was in like 3rd grade. Like, I think she knew like what was gonna happen. And she used to read it with me and be like, read these words and remember them. And I was like, God. Like, everything just aggravated me. When I got to high school, I was getting straight A's. I've always pretty much got straight A's. I was the captain of the track team, captain of the soccer team. I could juggle. I like to keep myself really busy. I juggled a lot of things. I made it so I was never home because I hated being home, because I would sit at home and just think about where I would rather be. So I started dating this guy, and I was always scared of alcohol, because I'd never known I never really saw anyone wasted, really, but I knew that that's the reason why my family fell apart. So I was scared of it. None of my friends really drank, because I hung out with the people that played sports, and we were young. And I remember leaving my best friend's party one time because there was beer there. Like, I cried and I threw a fit, and I had someone come pick me up, and we left. And like, we were in a huge fight for weeks about that because I just didn't want to be around beer. I was like 15 years old. Because I'd always heard what it did. So I started dating this guy, and I know it's not his fault, but that's just where it started. I started dating this guy, and he would like smoke weed and do other things, and I would tell him, like, don't come pick me up if you're high, because I feel like you're gonna crash the car and we're gonna die if you smoke weed, and I'm scared. And I just saw the commercials on TV. Like, I was really uptight about the whole drugs and alcohol thing. Like, no thank you, I'm scared. And like, I listened in Dare, and I didn't want to die. So we hung out, whatever. His friends, all my friends have always tended to be guys. It was just, I just felt more comfortable around them when I was growing up to go. I'd rather go play football and run around and get dirty than to sit and braid my hair and talk about boys. Like, that's just what I like to do. I like to have fun when I was little. So I just always felt more comfortable around them. I don't know, maybe because females were competition, I always felt a step behind with them. I had humongous buck teeth that were like an inch apart, and like one eyebrow. It was disgusting. So I just always felt more comfortable with the guys. So like, all my guy friends were friends with this boyfriend at the time, and I was hanging out with all of them, and my story has a lot of drugs in it. I'm grateful. I've had a problem with that pretty much everything I've tried, so, and including a lot of alcohol. I'm grateful for the drugs that I've done, and because they got me in this room a lot faster than if I was just drinking. I really believe I would still be out there if I was just drinking. So I was scared of drinking, so I started smoking weed and doing cocaine. I thought that was a better idea. And eventually, I just started drinking. I had spoke a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I said I didn't remember the first time I got drunk because I was just like blacked out by fear. But now I remember it. We were partying with these kids that were a lot older than us. They went to Akron University. I think I was 15 or 16, and I had tried beer before. My dad would give me sips here and there. My aunts and uncles. But I remember someone had vodka there, like disgusting, like cheap vodka that was like rubbing alcohol. And we started taking shots, and I remember we had a couple of bottles, and I drank almost that whole pint the first time. I think I threw up once and just hung out and went to sleep. Like, I liked it. Everyone was cheering me on. They're like, I can't believe this tiny little girl is taking so many shots, and I just felt so cool. I was like, yes, there's like 10 dudes cheering me on. This is awesome. Went to sleep, threw up, went to sleep, woke up, and I was like, this is great. Like, I'm cool now. And so, and it was a lot cheaper than what I had been doing. So I started hanging out there all the time, running around at college parties, sneaking out at night. I would sneak out every single night when my parents went to bed, and then sneak back in before they woke up. So I was really living a double life. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was still getting pretty much straight A's at school. I was still running track, playing soccer, working. I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, and I was having fun. And I thought that's what kids our age are supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be having fun. I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing, like, until last year, was just having fun, just getting it out of my system. So that went on. I started getting in trouble. I started doing a lot of things. If something made me feel good, I kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until I got in so much trouble. I was like, this is not worth it anymore, or I just didn't stop. I started stealing stuff from the mall. Every day we would leave school and go to the different malls, and we'd just steal clothes, and it felt so good. Just like once you got outside of that door, it was a rush, and I was like, yes, we just got so much stuff, and every day. And eventually I had gotten in trouble for that. We went to jail in Cleveland, and I was 16 years old, and my mom picked me up and made me call my dad, and he told me that I broke his heart, and that just was, it was too much, and I was like, I stopped stealing for a while. I ended up having to steal out of necessity later. So I just started getting in trouble. The cops would pick me up from my boyfriend's house and bring me home. I kept getting grounded a lot. So my mom pretty much had grounded me until I turned 18. So I was like, I'm never getting off of grounding, so I might as well just do whatever I want. So I just continued to be entitled and act like a brat and just do whatever I wanted. Nothing was suffering at school, and that my mom always told me that's the most important thing. So my selective hearing, I just ran with it. I ended up graduating with honors. I had scholarships to play sports and for my academics in college. And my mom had told me that when I graduate, we all come down here for senior week from Ohio to Myrtle Beach, and she told me just go ahead and stay with my dad if I didn't want to go to school. So I had an excuse. I justified that I don't want to go to school because it was in the middle of nowhere, even though it was an excellent school for my major. And I ended up just coming down here with my dad and just running wild. They had to come get me from Myrtle Beach, put an Amber Alert out. I was like crazy gone. I was just horrible, and I'm 17 years old. Like, I had just turned 17. I moved in with my dad. He finally found me and brought me home. Excuse me. And I moved in there with him, and I was fine for a couple months. Like, at this point, I didn't think I had a problem. I hadn't suffered many consequences. If I did, it was just because I was 17 and I wasn't doing what my mom told me to do. Like, I hadn't gotten any DUIs or gotten in trouble, except for the stealing. So I didn't drink for a couple months, for maybe a month and a half, because I didn't know anyone. Got a job at this restaurant. And one night they asked me if I wanted to stay late after work, so I was like, cool, I don't have any friends. So I stayed and got completely trashed and drove myself home, and pretty much for the next like 10 years, that's what I did every single night. I was partying, I was only drinking because that's all I could find down here. And then I started doing other substances as I found them, but I was pretty much drinking every night, just to get as trashed as I could, because I didn't have to be at work until 4:30 every day, so I could wake up at 3 and go to work. It was perfect. Like, that was the life. I was buying something from someone one night, and he basically, I don't know how to explain it without going like way into depth. Basically, I was attacked. This guy completely took advantage of me, beat the life out of me, pretty much. I saw the light. I believe that I died, and stole my car. And this was someone that I'd been buying drugs from. So I remember laying in the hospital bed, and my dad had come to see me that night, and I just remember him like crying. And I've seen my dad cry one other time, like when we were pulling out of the driveway when he got a divorce. And I remember that broke my heart so bad. And it never occurred to me that I can't stop doing what I'm doing. I didn't think that I wanted to stop, so I thought I'll quit when I want to. I never thought like I want to. So I stayed. I thought that the drugs were the problem, basically. So I thought alcohol was okay. I stayed sober from everything else and just drank and drank and drank for weeks, and then was back right into the same pattern. I used pills were always a constant with everything, because they make you drunk faster. It's cheaper well, it's not cheaper, it's a lot faster to get drunk. So I hadn't become dependent on those yet, but I don't know. I stayed sober for a while. Not sober, but you know what I mean. So I moved out of my dad's house and moved into another place, and it just continued, the drinking, and I used that as an excuse after that. That was my excuse. It wasn't, I'm just having fun anymore. It was, I wanted to go into this like hole, and I don't want to come out. I felt taken advantage of. I felt weak. I felt like dirty, like no one would ever want me because of what happened. Scared. I was terrified of everything. I just wanted to be alone. And I had a few good friends that would come and help pull me out of them. One of them, his name was Roger. He ended up dying in a car accident a couple months after that. So I was angry. I'm so mad at God at this point. These people, my best friend that I've ever had in my life, died. He was taken away from me. He was one of the only positive friends that I had. That was taken from me. My security, any self-worth that I had at that point was taken away. I felt things just happened. I remember sitting on the side of Independence in Charlotte with a 12-pack just crying. Like, I just wanted to run into traffic. And because God took my friend, he took my only friend, like my best friend. He was my brother. I was just angry, and the drinking and the drugs got so much worse after that. I remember I had been taking pills for a while and it stopped working, so we ended up doing heroin. And I remember when my boyfriend was doing it to me for the first time, he apologized before he did it. And I asked him, why are you apologizing? And he said, because I know what this is going to do to you. And he was right. And things just escalated from there. I stopped drinking because it would make me throw up when I drank. But basically, it was just a downward spiral from there. I got evicted. My grandpa died, and I got fired in the same month. And things just kept getting lower and lower and darker. And I stopped caring about everyone around me. My family would try to reach out, and I wanted nothing to do with them unless they were handing out money, which never happened. So I was just angry. I was so angry. Things got worse, and they came and picked me up and took me to the treatment center in Charlotte, and the only reason, honestly, that I went was because I thought they had detox meds, and they didn't, so I was stuck in there, coming off of it for the first time ever. It was horrible. I thought I was too good to be in that place. I kept saying, this is like jail, and it was way better than jail. It was not like jail at all. The people in there, it was a homeless shelter. Basically, all you had to do is fail a drug test and you could have somewhere to sleep. So a lot of those people were coming straight off the street, and that's where they lived. So I was like, I don't need to be here. The entitlement came out. I was scared. Honestly, I thought everyone was just gonna beat me up and take my stuff because I had cigarettes. So I manipulated my boyfriend into coming and getting me after 3 days, said I'm cured. That was scary. That scared me out of everything. I'm fine. I felt better physically a little bit. So he came and got me, and I'm uneducated on alcoholism and addiction at this point. My entire family is. So my mom came down from Ohio with my sister, and they were so happy that I'm cured because I said I was after 3 days in a detox center. So she comes down, and we go get a bunch of wine and go out to eat and get drunk. So it was a shit show. A week later, I'm doing the same thing I was doing before. And I really had tried not to. I thought I was done. I swear, I was disgusted with it. I was scared from the experience that I had just had. And I thought I was done, and it just blindsided me. So I stayed out for another year. This time I started getting in trouble. start getting arrested, but they always let me out on a written promise, so getting arrested wasn't that bad. Like, I got a citation for larceny and like just a ticket and just go home. Like, I just kept squeaking by and never suffering any consequences. And I only wanted to stop doing it when I didn't have any and I was sick. That's the only time I was like, this is so stupid. Why do I do this? I just didn't see, that wasn't the problem. Alcohol wasn't the problem. It was the cops are assholes, my family hates me, I have bad luck. It was everything else. My boyfriend's a jerk, like everything's expensive, just, there's so many excuses. So I'm out for another year. We end up I'm just bouncing around from place to place, ends up dating someone who sells what I need on a daily basis, so it ended up getting a lot worse. Ended up like hitting what I thought was my bottom. I called my family and said that I'm ready to get clean and sober. Then they were at the beach, so they're like, you just need to wait until we get home and we can help you. I'd been hitchhiking all around Charlotte. I had nowhere to go. I burned every bridge around me. I'd taken everything I could from everyone's parents because I never went to my parents' house. I thought I was protecting them. I just robbed everyone blind all the time and just ruined everything that I put my hands on. So I waited for them in they got a hotel room for me. They never helped me with anything that would enable me, but they got me a hotel room to wait in, and they came and got me and took me to treatment. And this time I had asked to go. I didn't get blindsided. I was exhausted. I was sick. I was done. So they took me, and I went there and got to feeling a little bit better. Met some people in there. I met a guy in there. I saw him. I was like trying to make the best of a good situation, just found the best one and was like, mine. And he did what I did. He rolled like I rolled. He was funny. He made me laugh. That was a plus. He had a car. So, I mean, all these were pluses. I actually feel like I liked him, but no, I do. I love him. He's a good person, but he's sick. So we end up I get kicked out of that place. He does too. I was on like day 20 or something. Get kicked out. And I go live with him. Same thing starts over. I started going to meetings. I got a sponsor before I got out of there. I was going to NA. And I had kept hearing in treatment how their sponsors were calling them if they were missing meetings. I didn't realize like they had been sober for a couple years. So I thought my sponsor was supposed to call me. So I called her like once. She never called me. And I was like, these people hate me, and used it as an excuse to do what I was doing. Stayed out for another year. This time it got way worse immediately. We ended up living in a car. We had to steal to get everything. And this time I had reached my emotional bottom. I'm not really a crier, and I cried every day for the last 2 weeks that we were out there. Everything was just miserable. Like, the sun wouldn't shine. Everything in my world was completely dark. Like, I was done. I was tired. I was beat. I had so much pain inside, and I stuff things. I stuff them and stuff them until the stupidest thing could happen. Like, I drop my drink on the ground and I will explode and like cuss everyone I see out for things that they did 2 years ago that I remember, that look they gave me in 2003. Like, it's crazy. So I had been praying that to a God I didn't believe in, to a God that I was angry at, one that I wanted nothing to do with. I was praying, but I was praying for him to not let me wake up. I was praying for him to let me get a bad batch and die, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't see any hope. I could never figure out how it could possibly get better from how bad it had gotten, and the things that I had destroyed, and the charges, and like the pain and my family crying every time I talked to them because I was 10 pounds less than the last time I saw them, and I was like withering away. And I fell asleep one night, and I woke up, and the police were like pulling up to our car. And my first thought was just run, but I just sat there. I couldn't move. And when they arrested me, I felt like such a relief. It felt so much better. I was like, thank God, even though I'm going to be so sick. I was just like, I'm going to feel so, I just felt safe. Like they were just going to lock me up, and I wasn't going to be able to destroy anything else, and things would at least just stay the same and not get worse. And I'd never stayed the night in jail before. I never even had to dress out. I would always get out on a written promise. I have no idea how. But I stayed in there for a while until my court dates, and my stepmom actually used what had happened to me. It was in Monroe. Everyone knows everyone. What had happened to me to get, as an excuse to get my judge to be easy on me or whatever. But I was telling my lawyer, I want to go to treatment. I want to go to a halfway house. I know where I need to go. And I told the judge that, and the judge was like, all right, so when you get out of here, just go. And I went to treatment. I got kicked out again. It was a misunderstanding. I really didn't mean to. I got kicked out again. They were nice enough to let me come to the Bethany house. So I gathered my trash bag and came over here. And I remember stressing about that on the way over here too. Like, I have nothing in this whole world, and I'm like emotionally broken, and I'm like, they're gonna make fun of me for my trash bag when I walk in the door. Like, that's what, it's sick. So I walked in, and from there on, I just kind of let go for a while. I was like, I didn't have enough energy to argue anything. I didn't have enough energy to manipulate a side way or a shortcut of figuring anything out. It was suggested that I get a sponsor. I got one. It was suggested I join a home group. I joined one. I kind of just followed the people that I saw were doing positive things and staying sober. I saw that people make mistakes, and so I knew it was okay for me to make mistakes because I hadn't really done anything that was difficult for me. I've always done things that are easy for me, because if it was difficult, if I felt like I was ramming my head into a wall with something, then I just quit. Because things were always easy, so I get aggravated if they're not. And this is not, it wasn't easy, but it was a lot easier than what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. So even when it's hard, it feels like a blessing. Things started falling into place so much. I was spoiled in my first year of sobriety. Like, amazing things were happening. I went to court. I was freaking out about it. I'd been running for a while on these charges and just stacking them up on top of it. And the judge was like, just go. What are you doing? Where are you? Okay, it's okay. Like, no fees, no court fees. Like, when does that happen? Just things like that. I got a job. I started working. And coming to meetings. I got just slowly, things just started falling into place because I wasn't forcing them, because I was concentrating on this and not picking up the pieces. That's one of the things that really stressed me out the last time I tried to get sober, because I tried to worry about the license or the job or everything else rather than just focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing in the program. It's just been amazing. I was able to laugh when I was in treatment the last time, because I'd been sober for a while, like a month and a half or a month before I got in there, so like I was starting to feel better. But I laughed till I cry on that back porch at the house. Like, we get stupid out there. It's so funny. But it's just a real laugh from your heart and your soul. It just feels so good. when I get upset at things, I try to find the humor in them usually. I'm pretty sarcastic. I'm trying to work on it, but if you can't laugh at it, then what can you do? I've never really taken myself that seriously, but I take myself a lot less seriously now. I can laugh at myself. I can let other people laugh at me without wanting to punch them in the face. It's a blessing. I don't know. I'm just running out of stuff to say, so I'm not going to keep you here for 3 hours. So, all right, thanks for letting me speak.